Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to WCS Challenger Americas. We're in the playoffs, match number 2 for the quarterfinals. My name is Fear Dragon. I am joined by Nathanius here at the desk. I heard you were memeing in Twitch chat a little bit.
We had a great time. I'm just gonna say that the person watching this is amazing and deserves love, and I'm so glad to be here. I'm just in the best mood now. I'm in the absolute best mood. Also, the coffee and water have all kicked in and cleansed my blood out. So I'm very ready. I'm very excited to get into our next match.
Yeah, I'm also excited to go into the next match. So this is going to be a Zerg versus Zerg. I mentioned this before the break. 2 American Zerg players, both from Psystorm Gaming, both kind of known at this point in time in the North American scene as being like the consistent guys in the scene. They don't necessarily usually punch super high above their weight, but they also don't usually punch below their weight. They're kind of that middle ground, gradually rising.
I view this matchup as it's that scene in The Dark Knight where he just breaks the pool cue in half and throws it at him. And he's like, all right, well, let's see which one of you guys gets to go onward here in the tournament, because neither of these players are heroes of the story. But
wow, you know, Jon Snow would make a good hero.
What do you know? I'm not sure. I'm not convinced.
Find out tonight on Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Not convinced.
No. But I think this is a really cool match because Jon Snow has been the guy who's been around for a lot longer in the scene. And
isn't that the story of almost every NA player at this point?
That they've been. It can't be the case that everyone's been around for a lot longer than someone else in the scene.
There's really only a few people that are that new that we can actually say that. Like, we can't say that about.
No, I'm saying Silky is one of the guys who is newer to the scene than Jon Snow.
Silky's been playing StarCraft for forever, too.
He's been playing for a while, but like Jon Snow came up in 2013 when he managed to roach Ling all in.
If you want to call someone new, I'll give you like Epic or the other.
Epic's been around for a while, also.
Yeah, but
Epic's been around since
being around since you were 13 is like that's like cool, you know. It's like you were playing StarCraft before you like really like.
That's understood. Like a Raynor move, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you understood it before you like were doing math and stuff. I don't know, man. Anyway, we're loaded into this match. We should probably introduce the players in the top left. He's wearing red. He's Jon Snow. His opponent's going for a pool first, Fear Dragon.
Yeah.
No gas, so it's not going to be the slice of cheese we were hoping for.
Well, down here in the bottom right, as you said, going for the pool first, it is the Blue Zerg player, Silky, also from Psystorm Gaming.
I think someone was trying to make a joke one day about the Psystorm Gaming players like going up against each other and there being a team kill. And my favorite response was someone saying, well, duh, they've got so many players on the team, it's almost impossible to avoid at this point.
This is true.
And that is meant more so as like, that's a cool thing that we've got orgs that are providing support and getting cool folks out there. I'm sure KJ is cheering on his boys. So always nice to see that passion for StarCraft. This person has a lot of passion for StarCraft. So let's see what he can do with these Zerglings. They've got big dreams. They want to run across the map, and they want to find something. They want to find some gold heading out west here, Fear Dragon.
Finding a drone or two would definitely be ideal because it's just 6 Zerglings. He's not making any more behind this. He's already forcing out more than just 6 Lings from Jon Snow alongside those Queens popping out. But 2 Lings make the pop out at the natural, so Silky's not going to be able to snipe off any drones that we're building down there, which would have been ideal. Take some okay trades over here, but he's going to eventually get overwhelmed. I would say, well, you got some good micro.
Yeah, you got to be careful. You got to be careful. This is one of those builds that's not really meant to kill you, but
you want to get something.
You know, there's a lesser Zerg player here. You know, obviously Jon Snow, he's not bad at the game by any means, but a lesser Zerg might lose a drone or two to like an attack like that. And then you start asking yourself, what am I going to do? How am I going to recover? Silky with a very, very fast lair. This really can only be one thing, right?
Jon Snow is also going, he's also banked up a lot of gas, and he's going for his own fast lair. Both these players walling off with the Evo Chambers. Cyber Forest has that high ground and allows you to very easily wall off.
What if they night ace each other at the same time?
I told you they're basically like... Okay, Silky is very similar to Jon Snow. He is like a 2 years younger version of Jon Snow.
He's young Snow.
He's young Snow, yeah. He's like Jon Snow's son. This is the pass.
Like it.
This is potentially the passing the mantle series. Because here's the thing.
Wow, that's we're getting deep.
Jon Snow has not lost to Silky the last 7 times they played. It's been years since Jon Snow has lost to Silky in a competitive tournament.
So if Silky beats Jon Snow, does he just like fade away into dust and Silky takes his essence or something like that?
I mean, basically, Jon Snow is no longer in school. He's working a job now. He has a lot less time for StarCraft.
Damn.
Yeah.
This just got really depressing, Fear Dragon. Thank you.
Well, no, it's about the passing the mantle, right? You know, there's going to be a new superhero in town.
Doesn't have to be sad.
Yeah.
Well, man, there's so many things I want to say, but we're not allowed to till tomorrow. Anyway, it's actually roach speed for both of them, and +1 attack.
Yeah.
So somehow, I don't feel like this is the most normal thing to do, but they've somehow both decided to do it, and that should cost both of them the advantage of doing it. So we kind of just skip the Zergling phase and go straight into roaches, but even that is not the craziest thing. I guess both players will probably be a little bit on edge about a Nidus since the layers have come in so quickly for both of them.
Yeah.
But we know that that's not happening, at least not anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, going for the fast +1 weapon roach speed thing, like I feel like that's something that's come up a lot in ZVZ these days, right? So
we did see a bit of this in the ZVZ yesterday. Or no, was it yesterday when it was last week's Challenger? I'm trying to remember if we had a ZVZ in Europe. But we've seen it in both NA and Europe is what I'm trying to say. So it's not that crazy.
So with roach speed and +1 weapons finishing up for both of these guys, and both of them foregoing Zergling speed, there's a lot less concerns about, you know, Ling run bys, trying to snipe off some drones over by your third base and everything. It is going to be just straight up roach wars.
Wow,
I love how fast.
+2 attack.
I love when someone is very on top of starting up that next round of upgrades. And we're going to see a couple of the roaches over here for Silky, maybe getting a bit over eager. He loses a couple of them there. And now he's actually down a solid 6 or 7 after taking all those losses.
Jon Snow has not built the same amount of drones that Silky has. He's been putting more heavily into roaches. It shows in the army supply. And the defender's advantage, we're going to need to see a play made by Silky to defend. So Jon Snow starts up his +2 attack, but he's already got his roaches over here with that roach count advantage. He's just looking for a swift execution of his opponent to bring down that Valyrian Steel over Silky. Is he going to be able to do it? The total roach count at the moment is 14 for Jon Snow, 7 for Silky, and he continues to rally them across the map. He's going to start transforming his weak roaches into Ravagers. Drones are being pulled, and it looks like Jon Snow may be able to steal away a Game 1 victory here. Just the damage he's doing right now is going to be catastrophic. He is way ahead in workers, and he's still getting it done.
Yeah, doing a lot of damage, but Silky is starting to push him back a bit further. So Silky still has an opportunity just with the roaches he has, but like you said, he is going to be down a good number of workers. He may be relying on the fact that his +2 weapons is finishing a bit before Jon Snow's. He might not have the perfect sense that that is going to be the advantage. Yeah. Wait, did Jon Snow cancel his +2 or did he never start it? Oh no, it's sorry, it's slowed down by the curve,
the progress bar disappears if it gets contaminated.
That confuses me every time.
There are 2 other scenarios where that can happen. If a Terran or Protoss structure cannot spawn a unit because there's no space around it.
Yep.
And if a Terran structure gets paused in building, it does not show any progress
I'll do you one more. If a gateway gets depowered, or a robo gets depowered when it's building something, then the progress bar goes away also. Anyways, fun, useless facts with Nate and Fear Dragon. The +2 weapons is going to be finishing up a good bit earlier here for Silky. That means that his roaches will kill Jon Snow's with 1 less attack. So he may be looking to try and take advantage of that, given the fact that he is going to be a bit behind in terms of workers, and they're going to be on relatively even number of roaches and Ravagers. So there is an opportunity here for Silky. Is he going to seize it? Does he even know that Jon Snow's +2 is going to be a bit behind?
Yeah, let's see. I mean, it will be nice for Jon Snow to have that +1 Carapace later on in that same turn, but we'll see who wants to get aggressive first again here. I mean,
Silky's just going to be sitting in defensive, so it doesn't seem like he wants to try and seize that advantage. He's been able to drone up.
I think what we're seeing is the pendulum is about to swing back the other way of the aggression. Silky was the first one to move across the map. Then Jon Snow went across the map and got an attack that he got damage done, and Silky started building so many roaches. He started building so many units He did add a couple of drones, but never went up to the same amount that Jon Snow had, which says to me that that is going to swing back, and we will have Silky maybe make that next attack, because he's only cranking out roaches at the moment. He could walk into an anti-timing, though, with those upgrades completing. Good contaminate on the hatchery. For those of you who, we don't see this ability used crazy often, mostly in ZVZ, I guess, but it stops not only the inject from finishing its cycle, but it also stops just the natural larva production of the hatch. So
yeah,
you are slowing down that economic or just general production significantly.
Okay, well, it seems like both these players are just going to get close to the maxed out point, but like you said, the Carapace upgrade there for Jon Snow is going to negate one of the attack upgrades for Silky. I love
at 0.7!
0.7 seconds away from finishing. Does Jon Snow even realize that happened? He is going to be moving across the map, and as soon as that little corruption wears off, he's going to finish up that Carapace upgrade, but the beginning of this fight,
God, that upgrade is so big, and he's 0.7. 0.7.
Okay, it's about to finish. There it is.
Oof.
All right.
I'm not gonna lie, my anxiety just kicked in so hard right there looking at that.
Oh, a couple of roaches in the counterattack at Jon Snow's 4th base. He's sniping off a few drones. There's not too many over there. It hasn't really been saturated, but that is some nice damage. Going to distract Jon Snow a bit as he's trying to dodge out of the way of the corrosive balls. It looks like he's just, in fact, going to start pulling back. Actually, no, he's going to try and hold that ramp, which I guess makes a lot of sense. But Jon Snow also can't really push further down and take advantage of the upgrades as much.
Whoa, he's
until
just going to walk
commits.
into this, and he actually eats a good few biles there. The Ravagers for Jon Snow getting some work done. Well, supply still very close. Of course, Defender's advantage is going to be heavily favoring Silky in this position, but Silky is definitely, he's eaten quite a few biles. Jon Snow's supply, look at that, 27 roaches in production behind this. He maintains the supply while pushing through onto this 4th base, and I think, great focus fire. He brings the roaches forward, gets the Ravagers in the back, and may have finally broken Silky's back.
It is.
GG. Jon Snow taking game number 1.
Really, really well done. And just, I have to say, even though that was a really close fight in a lot of ways, Jon Snow getting a bit of a concave advantage, and also the Carapace upgrade helping out so much.
Yep.
Really, really well done.
Really nice.
So 1-0 now for Jon Snow. Looks like that mantle is still going to be resting on, what do mantles rest on? What is that thing called?
You rest things on the mantle, don't you?
That's probably why I'm confused. I guess it rests on the ground.
Mantle
the mantle's
can
still
also
on the
be
ground.
a verb. To mantle something, you could climb over something.
So wait, what does it mean to pass on the mantle? You're passing on something that holds clothes? Wait, I'm actually really confused about this.
I'm not the person trying to make this analogy for your dragon. I'm sorry.
Well, either way, Jon Snow going up 1-0 is going to be in a very, very comfortable spot here. It was a nice attempt there from Silky, but I feel like the entire game, he was kind of just sitting a little bit behind because of that roach push out, where he didn't make as many roaches, and then he lost like 4 or 5 roaches on the retreat because he caught Jon Snow, who was just making a lot of roaches. And ever since then, he was just like trying to play a little bit catch up. Jon Snow went for the big attack. Silky ended with about the same amount of army supply and roughly the same upgrades, but with the same, or actually being behind 10 workers, and that really just hurt him. He had a hard time keeping up.
Yep. Very interesting game of StarCraft to watch. Feels, we talk about weird stuff that NA players do, but I guess both of these guys do really like their roaches, and it does feel a little bit unusual to see both 2 players in a ZVZ both rush for a 2-base lair to get roach speed and fast +1 attack.
It's very European style to just be like, we don't need to play Lingbane. Let's just go for roaches.
And I don't even think that's even as much what the European style is anymore either, though, because
it has transitioned out a bit more,
because of players like Cyril and Raynor making such good use of Zerglings. Like everybody loves Zerglings now, and it was just a weird game. In a vacuum, that game was weird to look at because that build is not insane. Both of them doing it at the same time, to me, is just odd. But we'll see what they go for next. As we go to Automaton.
Automaton, I think one thing worth noting is that this is not a map where you usually see those kind of builds as often, just because there's a lot more area to wall off at the natural. Cyberforce is like, you can get the double Evo Chamber Roach Warren wall off at your front. You have a high ground and stuff if your opponent's going for a bunch of lings. It's like not a big deal to use the Queens to defend. If you're on Automaton, it's a big, wide open choke point. You got to get the creep spread going further out to even get the wall off. So seems a little less likely we'll see that same style this game.
Yep. These maps are good, especially this one for like the air-to-air. And one of my favorite things about StarCraft is that I seriously find new things that surprise me that I've never seen before almost every like couple of weeks. We come in, we do WCS, some weird thing happens that I've never seen before, like the Stalker baiting with the stasis trap and Puck's game. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's the first time I've ever seen that done like that. And I'm trying to think about crazy stuff I haven't seen. We have had players try to do weird Corruptor builds to deal with Muta players.
Oh yeah, the Chinese players were really into
Right.
that in WCS Winter.
So I don't think we're going to see it, probably ever. But one day, if it happens, it'll be like a confirmation that everything that can go wrong will go wrong. I want to see two of those guys play each other, and they both Corruptor rush each other, and the game turns into like mass Corruptor versus Corruptor because both of them are too committed.
Well, we gotta watch WCS Challenger for China then.
Yeah, maybe that's what happens over there. That's
You
what
know-
those guys get up to, some really weird stuff.
I really, really want to see how, if you have like 2 queens attacking a Corruptor, how many Corruptors do you need to be able to caustic spray down a hatchery before the queens just start kill all the Corruptors? Like, how many Corruptors would you have to sacrifice if there were 2 queens attacking it? Because, you know, a lot of the time...
That's weird math, Fear Dragon. That's weird math.
But that's some fun. Imagine you go for a 2-base Spire where you just make, like...
That's
You find out that there's some really weird timing where you have 4 Corruptors, and if you start caustic spraying down their lair when you're on 2-base Spire...
Let's just go back to complimenting random people. The people who are watching this stream
Yeah.
respect their friends' wishes on Saturday night to not go out because they just feel like staying at home and watching TV. They're good people.
Yeah. Awesome Sauce, a wonderful observer, also worth complimenting.
Yeah.
He's been doing the observing for pretty much all of this season of Challenger and a lot of Winter. Big thank you to him. Okay. Are we done complimenting people?
We don't have to stop Fear Dragon. It's ZVZ. Nothing's happening for a little while here.
They are not going to be going for their same builds as the last game, though. We actually see Baneling Nest coming down over here for Silky. There's one for Jon Snow. We're going to see a little bit more of that traditional NA-ZVZ, or the Ling Bane kind of aggression.
Yeah, I don't mind seeing this little shakeup, kind of back to more normal-ish stuff. And yeah, I like it. So these things are going to come in and scout. And the only thing that he's going to learn about Jon Snow coming in here is that, well, Jon Snow's the kind of guy that holds open the door even when his friends aren't there yet and has no problem awkwardly standing there for 5 seconds with the door open just to make sure everybody gets out together.
So this is that kind of fun time of ZVZ, by the way, where one player or both players, usually between 24 to like 32 drones, they say, okay, let's get out a big round of Zerglings. Let's do the Ling Baneling dance. Let's make sure that we're both on point about this. Silky, though, is trying to skip it. He's trying to skip out of this class, and he's just relying on a few Banelings defensively
There's
to
no
try and
support.
defend.
There's no support here for those Banelings.
So one Baneling goes down. He does get 2 of the Lings there, so the other Baneling's going to be a bit safe for a bit, but Jon Snow walks straight past a couple more Banelings that were being morphed in. He's going to try and make his way forward. Dodges out of the way of those Banes.
Okay, yeah, there's too many Banelings here, it looks like.
Yeah.
We'll see what he can get done. He could try to Bane trade out. The Banelings do have to come back over for Silky.
Oh!
He could do the 2-4 deal.
Yeah.
2 Banelings can kill pretty much infinite number of Banelings in their range, but that is not going to be the case. Lair is going to boot up instead for Jon Snow, so with a Roach Warren and an Evolution Chamber, expecting to see that +1 missile that is now also on the way for Silky. And we go back to the Roaches.
Yeah, so the Ling counterattack over here for Silky is really nice. Not only be able to get the Queen, but continue to also harass a couple of those drones down. He'll lose the Lings, but I actually really like being able to go for +1 missile over Lair, because Lair means you can go for a faster +1 or a Roach speed upgrade. But if you get +1 weapons up, then you also get a faster start on not only +1 weapons, but also +2 weapons. You just are able to maintain that upgrade advantage for a longer period of time. You have a bigger window of opportunity. And whoa! Baneling run by.
Noise.
6 workers killed. Funny enough, he's only ahead by 3 workers with the workers he's killed with the Lings and the Banelings put together. But still some nice damage.
Yeah, I mean, Lair is done, so he's going to start Roach speed, and that's still what things are
Did
likely
Silky
to
cancel his
revolve around.
+1 weapons? He canceled his +1 weapon upgrade.
He's a madman.
What's he?
I think he just wants to build more units. He's like, I'm just going to kill you before you have anything.
Yeah, it seems like that, because right now, if you take a look, Jon Snow's still making drones. He's not making any roaches, despite his roach horn finishing.
He's
Silky.
trying to do him a heckin' bamboozle, Fear Dragon.
Okay, Jon Snow is now going to catch wind of this with that Overlord there. He's got a Nidus Worm on the way. He cancels that because he realizes that's not going to be in time. He starts up some of his own roaches, but these roaches are going to be coming out so late. He's definitely going to be taking some losses, but he can afford to lose 12 drones and still be okay and even on workers.
Let's see if he can hold on. It is going to be difficult. It is not going to be an easy stop here. Bunch of Banelings being added. There's a Dropper Lord being morphed by Jon Snow somewhere. I guess he wants to try and maybe Bane Rain onto the Banes, but that's not going to be in time. Banelings just come straight through, blow up a ton of workers.
But Jon Snow, I mean, the longer this takes for Silky, the closer Jon Snow gets to +1 weapons and Roach Speed finishing. Roach Speed is so close to finishing. The Roaches are attacking the hatchery, which does buy Jon Snow a little bit more time, but as soon as that hatchery goes down, Jon Snow's going to lose a lot of his economy there as well. Here we go.
Here. He doesn't mind. So Banelings are cost effective if they can hit 3 of literally anything in this game in terms of their damage output.
He's going to start two-shotting those Lings now with +1 weapons finished. And looks like Silky is just going to back off. He's going to try and get up his lair, but he's going to lose a lot of roaches because remember, roach speed for Jon Snow, not for Silky.
Now, Jon Snow had so many workers that despite the losses, he still has the economic advantage. So things aren't looking all that good for Silky.
This is the
counterattack. He is throwing the Hail Mary. He's chucking the ball deep into the end zone, just hoping someone jumps up and grabs it.
And Jon Snow's going to take the bait for a second. He pulls back his roaches for a moment's time. Remember that even the reinforcing roaches are going to two-shot these Lings, though, so it is a lot easier for Jon Snow to clean up than otherwise you would expect. And these are all units that Silky probably also kind of wants on the defense, so he's relying all on just the reinforcements here, but he has quite a few.
Yep. Good amount of units there to defend against this. Roach Speed does start up for Silky. He has his +1 attack coming in. Oh my god, Silky.
Oop. That could get some good damage done.
Cheeky Kalaris.
Jon Snow's on top of it. He sends the roaches up to that top right-hand corner, finds the Banelings. Gonna be able to snipe them both off. Nicely done.
Spire, nice. But that is not. I don't know. I don't feel like the Spire ends up being a part of this. I feel like the next fight's gonna happen before we get Mutts out.
Silky did pull back and he wants to finish up his own +1 weapons, and Jon Snow never invested in +2 missile attack because he was so under fire and he really wanted to get the counter damage done. Remember that while he did have a good drone count, his third base only just now refinished, so he doesn't even have that extra gas geysers that we're mining from over there. He doesn't have a huge gas bank, so even when that Spire finishes, what, he's going to be able to make 4 mutas, maybe 5? That's enough to snipe off Overlords. It's not enough to, you know, really put a lot of pressure on.
That's not the number of Mutalisks that you need to stop the giant army of roaches coming to kill you.
Yep.
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually just going to point this out. During the last match, some people in chat were asking, for those of you wondering, the players do not see these custom skins in-game. The skins are only visible for your viewing pleasure, so that the players can show off their personality, what units they like, and that sort of thing. But I know somebody was asking if that was something that was taken into consideration with the rules, and it has been. So these really cool-looking units.
They're just for you. They're just for you,
audience.
They're
just for you, because we love you that much.
And so do the players. Because, you know, the players don't have to use skins, but they choose to.
Well, you ask yourself, why can't esport athletes flex if real athletes are flexing their Jordans? You know what I'm saying?
Here you go. I want some roaches with Air Jordans when they research roach speed.
Yeah. That is exactly what I'm talking about.
You know they'll have to have like 6 Air Jordans, right? That get pretty expensive. I got a lot of legs.
You know, and one day Masa will be able to play a match where his battle cruisers just have like DBZ art on them. No big deal. It'll be sick.
That'd be dope. So there are a lot of Overlords for these mutas to pick off. So even though there aren't that many, there's only 7 out right now, they're getting a lot more damage than the mutas would normally be able to get. I mean, here's another Overlord pickoff over here. The Queens are now off of creep, so they're gonna have a hard time chasing these mutas that are now attacking roaches.
I'll throw you the craziest question. Right as this attack starts, I wonder if they ever complain that the other players' shoes are too flashy. Why can't we all wear? Why don't we all have to wear default shoes?
Oh my god, Nate, I have the best. Okay, well, actually, hold on. Roach counterattack over here is going to be causing some damage, and Jon Snow does not have enough to clean this up. He's going to have to rely on some reinforcements. He's pulling his entire army back, and that means he's going to be missing his +2 weapons timing.
Baited.
There was like a 10 to 15 second window where if he was about to take the fight and have +2 weapons and his opponent didn't, he misses that window now.
This is like the first time I think we're seeing that worker advantage go into Silky's hands now. So that's got to be nice. Is that income graph? Is this going to be the first time that he's like ahead? He had the third base for a while, even though the worker count was different earlier. Yeah. Okay, so as he was able to use those workers, that was nice, but then he loses them again. Really good economic control by Silky then looking at that.
Very well done.
I remarked earlier that Jon Snow still had the worker count advantage, but since he didn't have the third base to mine off of, you can see that it still heavily impacted his income.
Yeah, big trade-off there, though, for Silky is that his tech is a lot further behind. He just...
your overlords?
Well, that really hurts, but he just finished up his Hydra Den, whereas the Lurker Den's halfway done for Jon Snow, and he has Mutt-Mutts out on the map that are controlling overlords and getting pickoffs. He has a lot of Ravagers as well. I actually do think that the longer this game goes on, the harder it's going to get for Silky.
Yeah, we've got that big Roach army. Knocks down the hatch.
Oh, snipes off the hatchery.
Are being very annoying, yes. And using those biles to kind of create space for his army to maneuver. Silky, though, he starts the Lurker Den. It's significantly later than Jon Snow's. So let's see what he can do with it. Jon Snow's going to be able to get Lurkers out very soon. He wants to actually trade some of these Roaches out so that he can build Lurkers.
Oh, sacks the Mutas onto the Queens because he's busy controlling his Roaches and Ravagers. So only a couple of Mutas managed to survive.
I don't feel as bad about that, though. Since both players are going into Hydras, like how much more useful were the Mutas ever going to be, really?
It's definitely not the end of the world, but I think it is nice to just have 1 or 2 of them still around because you do spot out your opponent's army a bit more.
Maybe. Well, he does have 2.
Yeah.
So
there you go. But yeah, sacrificing some of that supply, not too bad. The Lurker Den now finished up here for Jon Snow. He just finished his Hydra production, so we're going to start seeing some of those Lurkers being made. And this is going to be his second window that he can try and take advantage of. Having the Lurkers when his opponent does not. He's not bothering to morph any in just yet. I think he's still rallying them to the front, but he's forcing some fights right here. And the Hydras are here for Silky.
I've seen this documentary before, and it's called How to Lose ZVZ When Your Lurker Den Finishes. Is you rally those Hydras to the front, never morph them, and then the opponent jumps like your army for 14 Lurkers? Okay, well, someone is really committing to this. I mean, sometimes the Hydras are not bad at fighting.
You know, Nate,
but 14 Lurkers is like, that is screw you, Lurkers.
I'll tell you what this is. This is the... I know you have, the Ravagers that are going to try and bile down my Lurkers, but I don't care because you can't get all of them in time. That is what that move is called. Well, we do have Jon Snow moving up from both of those ramps. He's trying to spread out his army to get a nice area. The Lurkers burrow, and Silky's going to take some hits, but he has some of his own Lurkers finished up that are holding the line. Jon Snow does force the unburrow. Silky, he's running into the Lurkers. Okay, that's not where you want to be.
I didn't realize this stream was advertising blenders now.
You have to be careful with those Overseers, by the way, because those Corrosive Biles are starting to hit them, and Silky only has 1 Overseer forward. If he loses that, he actually can't see the Lurkers anymore.
There is something weirdly satisfying about watching the way that his 8 Lurkers are arced out, all shooting towards the center at once.
Silky does have a really nice attack on the other side of the map. He's getting that third base again. No drones over there, so Jon Snow's just losing the hatchery, which is a little bit unfortunate, but he is pushing further and further forward. Those Lurkers have to burrow once again further back, and every single time this happens, Jon Snow gains a few extra inches and can make his way over to that hatchery. Sporecaller gets taken care of. More Overseers being morphed in, but he is just relying purely on Corrosive Biles to take down Jon Snow's Lurkers.
He's doing a fantastic job of jockeying for the position. And with the way that his Lurkers are spread, I think he could be a little more aggressive. Those counterattacks have really slowed him down, though. And economically, reeling a little bit. He doesn't have the same amount of money to play with.
1 bile away from killing off those Roaches that are morphing. Okay, well, Silky is still up a bit of supply because he has more Roaches, but he's also building up that Lurker count. He's going back up to about 6 or 7 of those Lurkers now, so Jon Snow morphing in a few of his own, and Silky is segmenting off a lot more roaches to go for the counterattack again, and he's gonna find a pretty exposed mineral line. There were some lurkers morphing in, but no longer available.
I almost wonder if you want to wait for those 2 lurkers to finish and then just kill them right as they pop. Okay, well, he didn't know they were about to finish.
Oh, Jon Snow's pulling back with most of his armies, leaving some lurkers back to try and hold the line with a few Hydras, but losing the hatchery there does suck.
Now, what strikes me as curious is that despite how fast this hive is, Dead Hatch, despite how fast the hatchery is, or the hive is, he goes for Vipers, and I like that, but he doesn't get the lurker burrow upgrade, and I find that extremely confusing because that upgrade is overpowered, Fear Dragon, especially in ZVZ.
It is a really, really good upgrade. I guess the idea is you're more concerned about sniping off your opponent's lurkers than immediately getting the advantage of reburrow your lurkers. But yeah, I think it'd be good to see at some point.
The Vipers are going to be big, though. I mean, Blinding Cloud on lurkers, especially since they don't have adaptive talons, that's huge. They can't reposition easily. Yeah, he's just going to start yoinking them.
Whoop.
3 lurkers, dead.
And Jon Snow's...
And another one.
Most of Jon Snow's army is out of position right now because it all got pulled back to deal with those roach counterattacks that Silky kept going for.
How far the mighty have fallen, Fear Dragon. From 14 lurkers down to just 2.
Okay, that's going to make it really, really tough for Jon Snow to push on forward, especially up against 10 lurkers of his opponent. But Jon Snow's finally segmenting off bits of his army to the top left-hand side.
I think Jon Snow really overstayed his welcome. Like, if he had just tried to swing around to the west side, literally do anything other than just stand here and trade his lurkers.
Yeah.
Like, this little poke here is nice, but like his whole army's not here. He can't really defend it. He can't commit to it. I would have liked to see him try to fight a little bit more for positioning when he had the lurker advantage.
Or even just having some defensive lurkers, which I think he started thinking about later when he had the 2 lurkers morphing in at that base that's on the low ground of the main, but it didn't finish in time. So then the roaches are able to get the snipe on the hatchery without really taking any damage. So here comes Silky sitting up about 30 supply, and most of it in army. He's looking for a kill now with so many lurkers out on the map. And Jon Snow has a couple of his own Vipers, but they just popped, and they don't have as much energy as Silky's.
Adaptive Talons, by the way, I think is done for Silky. So his lurkers are just like way better. They can pick up and plop back down so fast. They're a lot harder to deal with. Now Vipers are out for Jon Snow. He's got to make good use of them.
Getting some Corrosive Biles down on top of those lurkers.
He just moved command into the roaches.
That was a little bit less than ideal.
Well, it's 1-1. Let's get ready for game number 3.
Yeah, Silky takes a pretty massive advantage here, being able to snipe off this base. Jon Snow down 67 supply to 111. Down goes the hatchery. And Silky did a really, really nice job holding the line for such a long time for Jon Snow's lurker.
This person has amazing tenacity and mental fortitude to stick in it after how weird this game started off. I thought it looked really good for Jon Snow, and then he basically, I guess Jon Snow maybe got overconfident with how he moved everything out. He ran over with everything. He sat out there until he bled away all of it and didn't get and I'm just gonna say the big thing there is when he did that, he did not think about a next step. The harass was certainly part of the problem, but he didn't go for a hive. He could have gone for the hive way faster. Adaptive Talons is really big for those lurker battles, and Vipers as well to break the lurkers. If you get to lurker via lurker in ZVZ, the next step is you're either doing crazy base trade type stuff or you go to hive.
Yeah.
And still do crazy base trade stuff.
Yeah. Jon Snow had the tech advantage for a while, but you're right. He did stop after he got up the lurker den, where he got up a faster one. He was like, okay, I'll take advantage of this. Tries to siege up on that 4th base and doesn't actually ever break Silky, who then also uses roach counterattacks really, really effectively to keep pulling back Jon Snow. Until Jon Snow pulled back half of his army to deal with the lurkers, and at that moment, Silky was able to get up his Vipers and said, okay, now I'm going to crush the rest of your army that you left behind.
He got 14 lurkers, and he had 14 lurkers when Silky had like 4 or 5 or something. And he accomplished nothing with that attack. He didn't kill that base. He didn't even kill those 2 roaches that were building that you were talking about. And this is not just like, I'm not like trying to focus on the negative here, but what I'm saying is there were some other areas that he could have tried to explore to do something with that. If he's able to get those lurkers in between, like if he can wedge himself between 2 of the other bases, that northwest base, he killed it, and then he never checked it again. He never went back there until that final moment when like 2 Ravagers are like, sup, let's kill a drone and then die.
totally with you on that. I would have loved to have seen Jon Snow dart between the bases because it's not even necessarily that the first attack or the second attack or even the third attack work and that they find that perfect angle or anything, but you keep testing your opponent, and if they make the mistake, then they're out of position, then suddenly you do get a base.
Yep.
Or even just taxing your opponent and forcing them to re-burrow or re-siege all their stuff, take some of the APM away so they have less APM or less attention span to say, send 10 roaches to go counterattack you, because you're also moving back and forth. You can catch those roaches sometimes. It becomes a lot harder for Silky to do that just, okay, bunker up, defend, 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 and send a few roaches out, guarantee they're going to get damage done.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the last game just looked like a classic case of a player getting very confident and thinking to themselves, well, I should pretty much have this one in the bag, and then somebody being a scrappy young Zerg clawing his way out of the pit.
Okay, game number 3 is getting loaded on up. We're going to Kairos Junction here in this best of 5. Winner moves on to the semifinals to face off versus Masa.
Fear Dragon,
if
Kairos Junction was a themed restaurant, what would they serve and what would the theme be? What would it be like if you went there?
Kairos Junction,
Clearly, it's got to be in like a tourist trap area because Junction kind of alludes that it's a place where
it's near like
people's
a
paths would
metro
intersect,
station,
right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's got to be one of those big places. You know, it's probably a food cart or something. Maybe it's like a Gyro food cart.
Did you say Gyro?
Gyro? Gyro?
Gyro.
Is it Gyro? I'm allergic.
I'm just going to do the American thing and
so.
tell you that the way that I pronounce it has to be the proper way of saying it.
Fair enough.
But I've never heard anyone say Gyro.
Gyro?
When you say that, I think
Gyro?
I think Jiro, and I'm like, is that an anime character or? But then I'm like, in whatever language that's in, probably isn't pronounced Gyro either.
Yeah. We did have a pool first, by the way, from Silky once again. This is what he did in game number 1. He went for the 6 Zerglings, didn't make any more, and didn't really get a ton of damage done with them the first time. See if he can manage to make a little more happen this time, as those 6 Lings should pop out and be able to actually avoid the Overlord if he really, really wants to be good about it. And his Overlords, I've actually even seen exactly where Jon Snow is sending his, so here we go. Jon Snow going for his normal Hatch Gas pool opening. Gets up his gas guys are still going to start mining just a little bit faster than his opponent. And there, the Lings are going to avoid that Overlord. Try and catch Jon Snow a bit by surprise.
Nice.
Yeah. Always nice if you can get your Lings to the other side of the map and you just time this out so that your Lings arrive, your opponent did not bother to make any Lings of their own, which, by the way, Jon Snow is going to make a few of his own. But if they don't, you actually can sometimes get a surround of the Queen.
Not building any Lings at the start of his ZVZ is just really asking for it. And this one drone is kind of vulnerable, so that would be a huge target. Picking that off this early would be massive.
And doesn't quite get it.
Yeah, close but no cigar.
Now it's going to be safely behind that Queen. That can create a little bit of a wall off, so Jon Snow going to have a much easier time making sure he doesn't take any additional damage. Now these Lings are even a little bit trapped between the Queens, so they're going to take a bunch more damage as they try and retreat on out. And wow, I don't even think he got his Zergling.
Perfect defense by Jon Snow. Straight up. Nothing lost, and he's not the player that went for this play. And
he didn't even over-defend either.
Is this going to be like game 1 all over again? There's the lair.
Jon Snow's going for Zergling speed.
Quick evolution chamber. Yeah. Oh, yeah, well, so with Ling speed, we didn't get to talk about this.
Ooh, okay, Jon Snow throwing down the Evo chamber here. He is getting up, like you said, that Ling speed. And it seems like Jon Snow wants to actually be more aggressive, and he actually wants to play around with a lot more Zerglings. It's not just, oh, I'm getting up the Evo chamber, and I'm probably going to go for +1 missile attack. No, I think this is going to be for either melee or Carapace upgrade. See which one. Oh, I love when a Zerg player just goes into like the Mutaling Bane style. It's so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
These Lings.
But the big advantage of this style is supposed to be, and it's funny I'm about to say this because slow Lings are nibbling on his hatch, but the big advantage of this style is supposed to be that you can get your Speedlings out on the map in a way that the Roach player doesn't have that mobility. So you can deny their third and try to get an economic advantage.
Oh, good denial of the scout. I thought for a second Silky was going to see that Evo chamber in the back.
And he's going to know once speed finishes here that they're not doing the same thing like they were in the first map.
Yeah, but he hasn't seen any more really Lings than I think Jon Snow originally showed in the defense against those Lings. So he may not know that it's going to be Carapace coming out over here. And there is a Roach Horn being thrown up at the front, I think, to help sell the story. He's making more drones behind this, knowing that he's got that third base. He can still take advantage of that. We'll see. The Lings poke forward. He does reveal that a few more Lings are mid.
That's funny. Because that Carapace upgrade is going to neutralize the +1 attack.
Yeah. Those Lings won't get two-shot by the Roaches anymore that Silky would normally get that advantage with.
Roaches in large masses are still good against Lings, especially if if Jon Snow doesn't get like melee to punch through the Roach's armor. Roaches have 1 armor by default, and they have 145 hit points, so they are reasonably chunky. Even if they're not two-shotting the Zerglings, they can still trade very well against them. And he's got enough Roaches now that he feels confident in taking this third base. But that's kind of the trade-off when you do this style, is that the player who did open Ling speed, because they have the map control, because as many Roaches as you may think you need to attack, if you get swarmed by enough Lings to kill your Roaches in the middle of the map, all of your Roaches will die. There is no pullout. So you need to be very cautious about the way that you approach this. And this Overlord sees those Roaches into the southwest.
Yep. Gonna know about it. Overseer does move into the third base, sees how many drones Jon Snow's been saturating that base with, making sure he knows that he's not about to face off against a massive swell of Zerglings or anything, and he's not. Jon Snow is just adding on more of his own Roaches. And the Carapace upgrade is nice. I don't want to paint this like the wrong way, but it is usually an upgrade that does see kind of like a fall-off point. And you can see that Silky's actually going for double upgrades now. Jon Snow, you can't really double upgrade +1 and +2 at the same time, right? This is one of the dangers of going for Carapace first, is that you are just straight up going to be behind in upgrades if your opponent just decides to double Evo Chamber up.
Yeah. It's in ZVZ, it's always a weird trade-off. We saw a bit of this the last map with upgrades being canceled. It's such a fine balance between economy and production, but then it also becomes a balance of where you put those resources in the mid-late game, since one of the conversation topics that comes up is, well, why don't you go to Hydralisks faster? Why don't we see more Mutalisk play? Because everything that you can do other than Roaches at this point almost always dies to mass Roach right as that tech is hitting, because those things are not good on their own. Hydralisks are good, but they are not good until you have the range upgrade. You can't move out with them until you have the speed upgrade.
And even when you do have them, you need like a Roach frontline buffer for them.
Exactly. So that's one of the reasons why players get stuck on this. And until you have a huge swath of upgraded Roaches and you feel like there's some level of safety, you don't go for the Hydralisk and you don't go for the Spire. I'll never forget, because the meta back when Hydras sucked years and years ago was you went Roaches or you died trying to get to Mutalisks. And then sometimes you would see a player actually make it to Mutas, usually with 7 Spine Crawlers in their natural, and then games got really weird. But yeah, we thankfully have a little bit more variety in terms of those later stage choices for Zerg versus Zerg these days. I personally love seeing the Lurker shenanigans like we had on the last map.
I am kind of surprised that Silky didn't bother chasing down some of those Roaches. I mean, I want to note, Silky has Roach speed. Jon Snow just finished it up.
That +2 attack for Silky is going to be really big in this fight with his ability to trade. He sees the hatchery, so Jon Snow has to stand and deliver or he will lose the expansion. More of the reinforcements are coming up, but with a couple of the Ravagers in the back, even with the upgrade disadvantage, just having a few more units that can shoot with that range over the tops of all those Roaches helps in a huge way.
This is a beautiful little wraparound over here from Silky. So he pulls Jon Snow so far away, and he does move in with some other units and pull. Okay, Jon Snow does react appropriately.
It's a good spot there.
That was really close.
If he baits that army any further west and those 6 Roaches get into that third base, goodbye mineral line. And it looks like right now he's going to be morphing in 5 more Ravagers. Gets a contamination off on the hatchery to delay the production. Both players very close to being maxed, but that +2 attack is only just past halfway for Jon Snow. So ideally, you do want to wait, because your opponent's got 54 Roaches, and he's going to cap out at about 58 before he loses anything here. Gets the cancel on that base we were talking about, but he's going into Burrow. We have Tunneling Claws being added. So Silky is really committing to the mass Roach play. He's going to be able to spread himself out, get harassed. Kairos Junction, there's multiple angles of attack for all of the bases that are on the field right now, so the opportunity to get that harass in and without just taking a hit on engagement is very large. But since +2 attack isn't done yet, Silky would also not really mind taking a head-to-head fight if it's just the Roaches versus Roaches, because his Roaches will win.
Yep. These 3 drones able to do some good damage, and I love what you were saying. And also, I mean, just you look back to the last game. What was it that won Silky that game? It was constant counterattacks. It was putting Jon Snow in awkward spots. So
he gutted his economy.
Yeah, having Tunneling Clawed Roaches to continue with even more harassment, that is going to be Silky's way to try and take out Jon Snow based on how that last game went. I love that identification. Overseers are keeping an eye out on where Jon Snow's army is. And guess what? We got even a couple more Roaches making their way over to the third base. But Jon Snow is putting on some of his own aggression. The Roaches move on in. They snap off a couple more drones here and there. Silky, well, he's gearing up for the big attack in this bottom center of the map.
Yeah, and doing a really good job so far. Kind of moving back and forth with those corrosive biles being thrown between the armies. Neither player really committing to the big push just yet. But he really wants to get this hatchery, and it looks like he should be able to. Oh, going for the burrow move a little there. Not sure if he meant to
I think that might have been a mistake, or he was trying to regen some hit points, but either way, Jon Snow just seems like he has a lot more Ravagers, a lot more units over here. He's going to start to push Silky further and further back. He is losing some more drones over by his own third base, and actually there's no mining happening here. So Jon Snow, he needs to get the fourth base at least to make this worth it.
Really good counterattack there, but needs to be able to take that actual army fight. Trying to burrow move underneath the enemy army is a risky proposition, because for all the health that you gain and maybe the positioning against the Ravagers, you're just getting attacked the whole entire time. And it looks like Jon Snow, he's getting a good bit of momentum with this. It's just the counterattacks are still going to be a thorn in his side.
Yeah, he's losing a few more drones in his main and his natural, but once he finally gets those reinforcements there, I think this might go a little bit better. And finally, yes, he is going to take out those rocks. I think that is the thing that is keeping him from moving forward, but so many of his own Roaches, Jon Snow's Roaches are so low on hit points. Almost he could benefit from Burrow and being able to regen some of those hit points. I don't know that it really makes sense for him to be able to try and push his way in. I do like him threatening it with Corrosive Biles for a little bit, but if he overcommits, this could actually just end the game for him.
Yeah. We did have a Hydralisk Den go up behind this for Jon Snow, since he's been so aggressive. Maybe he feels like he can try to make a play here. Aspire starts for Silky, so both players are starting to think about, you know, life past Roaches. And I know a lot of us get emotionally invested in our Roaches. We're not always ready to move on, but time will heal those wounds. Lurker Den starts up. So he, with this posturing, is no longer trying to kill Silky necessarily. He just wants to keep him in check. And this is actually a really good grab on these Roaches that are trying to escape. And buy time, so they can get Lurkers.
And, I mean, granted, Jon Snow in the last game on Automaton had Lurkers, so he sieges up. It takes longer to move between bases, but you see how he is moving between the south side of that third base to the right-hand side. He's darting up to the north side. He catches a lot of the Roach run-bys that Silky is going for with this kind of style, because he's constantly moving back and forth. It's a lot harder for Silky to get that same kind of damage done, but Silky is sitting up still a solid 15 or so workers. Jon Snow has still been taking damage, and Silky is just relying on the fact that he is going to have a better economy, but that does also mean his max out is 20 supply lower in army supply.
Yeah, that's something that always comes into the discussion when we look at losing workers. Obviously, you want to make money, but if you've got a bit of a bank and you lose enough drones, you can get a significantly larger army supply. And I do feel that adding Lurkers to this composition would be really, really helpful, especially with the siege that he's already laying down.
Okay, he's pushing on forward. It seems like he really wants to commit to this. He tries to close the distance. The Corrosive Biles being dodged out over here, so Jon Snow avoids a good chunk of them. But it looks like Silky is doing a good job of dodging a lot of his own. He takes out the larva, so a lot of the reinforcements just got taken out. Some of the mutas are starting to arrive, trying to right-click down these Corrosive Biles, and Jon Snow is overwhelming his opponents.
Gets the drones, gets a couple of drones there as well, forces the rest of them to get pulled off. And there are Mutalisks out, but not a crazy amount. Look at this, 21 Hydralisks are being added. He's getting Hydralisk movement speed before he gets range, perhaps thinking that he just wants the mobility to get across the map and close this game out faster.
Yeah, maybe, I mean, even just being able to deal with some of the mutas if they do start to try and harass and buy time might be kind of nice. But there are those Lurkers also being added on. The worker counts have been evened up with that attack, and Jon Snow has been able to keep his fourth base alive and well. He's been able to push back a lot of the counterattacks now. The mutas, are here to buy time. They're here to shut down the vision of Jon Snow. But look at that, the Hydras are already here. There's not that many mutas, so even just 3 or so Hydras aren't enough to push back 5 mutas.
Let's see what he can get done over here. +2 Carapace is done. Hydralisk range boots up. And the Lurkers are nice, but yeah, the Mutalisks aren't really much of a threat. There's only 5 of them.
Yeah.
It'd be annoying, though, when there's nothing here.
And there we see a couple of drones going down. I mean, this is all that they need to do is just keep Jon Snow occupied because Silky is trying to rebuild up that big Roach army he had lost earlier. He doesn't have the upgrade advantage anymore that he had for a lot of time in this game. Upgrades are evened up for a while, and now Jon Snow with a +2 Carapace means that with +3 weapons also on the way, Jon Snow is really going to be able to dominate direct engagements.
Oh, wow, these Mutalisks on the extractors being extremely annoying.
More drones finally being had on here for Jon Snow. It seems like he's realizing he has been taking a lot of worker losses, so being able to remake a few of these is nice. Mutas actually not going to see any go down, so they're still going to be annoying. But more and more Lurkers. How many Lurkers is he up to? He's up to 9 Lurkers, I think. No, sorry, 7 Lurkers going to be finishing up now. That's pretty nuts. And a Hive already done, so that Adaptive Talons upgrade you were talking about, Nate, want to see it.
Yeah, Adaptive Talons is really, really, really good. It's basically like the Drilling Claws upgrade, but for Lurkers. They burrow pretty much instantly, and that's huge. That's huge. That's, I mean, the time that you save with that burrow is about like a whole attack volley from a Lurker, which, when you think about the amount of damage that a Lurker attack can do, is significant.
3 Vipers on the way for Jon Snow. I mean, this is the thing. There's not even a Hive on the way for Silky, so he's not going to have his own Vipers.
Oh, God, yeah, he's eating quite a few Lurker hits here, though.
Oh, my God. Okay, the Overseer's finally
these.
alive.
He'll kill these, but he got chunked hard.
There's still 5 Lurkers left alive here for Jon Snow. The Lurkers are all in the back, and this is an awkward choke point to try and move up for Jon Snow. He's not actually siege. Okay, he's not actually covering his natural, but it doesn't seem like Silky really wants to go in there.
You know, as much as I try to like what Jon Snow gets into in situation-wise, these positions are so bad. He gets into this awful choke point.
Jon Snow, you need to start up another Roach Warren. Okay, when Roach Warren goes down, he can pretty much just make Hydras right now, and I guess more Lurkers. But this choke point is hurting him so much. This is nuts.
Well,
Silky's starting to set up in supply now. He's remaxing a little bit faster, and Jon Snow can only really make these Hydras. Another Lurker goes down.
I don't know what to say. Like, he's stuck. He done goofed. The consequences will never be the same, Fear Dragon. I don't know. Did you just send the army across map to fight? You're not coming up this ramp. He's not coming up back his own ramp.
I think you need to trap in this army. You need to come in from the other side of the ramp. He's doing this now. He's starting to walk around so he can move through. But now the natural expansion choke point is going to be where Silky tries to make his hold. This is so tough. The one funny thing, though, is that, yes, Silky is taking out a lot here, but he's also completely trapped with his army. So if Jon Snow can get any counter damage done during this, he did send out a few roaches. Oh, no. Jon Snow's actually losing all the drones at his 4th.
No, he's super dead. This is a really weird game. I liked everything that Jon Snow had going for him, and then he just got into the worst position in the history of bad positions.
It's tough. Silky was continuing to poke in multiple angles, and this is what we were talking about, what we wanted to see from Jon Snow last game, where you keep moving between the bases, and as soon as your opponent makes one mistake, you jump on it.
Goodbye, Hive.
Yep, all the
Nidus
tech.
network starting up.
Oh, that's actually really smart.
Like, the units are all good.
He can get out of this main base with a Nidus Worm.
Yep. He's like, I don't have to trade out against your army and get forced into Lurkers. I can kill everything, and then just call my Nidus Uber and peace out, bro.
As Jon Snow, would you try and make a few more Lurkers with those 18 Hydras? He's only got 2 left.
It's all he can do. It's literally his only option.
Okay, there. He starts up 3 more. He's going to lose a lot of the Hydras that were popping out here. And I think as soon as Jon Snow hears that Nidus Worm go up in the main base, he's actually going to see it with the Broodlings, and he's going to realize, oh, God, I can't actually trap in this army anymore. Yep. I have to just go across the map and kill you now. There's no other way that Jon Snow can win this.
His only option is to attack with everything at the moment because his opponent is way too much.
He does have Vipers with some really good blinding clouds against the Roaches that will derp them into attack moving into the Lurkers.
Yeah, but that was never the problem though, right? The issue here is he's just been getting like real outplayed in terms of the control.
Yeah.
But from those Roaches and Ravagers with the biles and the choke points, like it has been disgusting. And well, guys, this is why you need to be careful with your honey buying products because those bees, man,
it's a sticky situation.
There's a struggle. There's a struggle on the planet. All right, shout out to all the bees out there doing their best to keep our ecosystems working. Shout out to the bees.
Shout out to the bees. Is there anyone else you want to shout out?
You know what?
Have you shouted out Zombie Grub yet? It's still her birthday.
Oh yeah, I didn't say happy birthday, Zombie Grub on air. We sang for her in chat earlier though.
Oh,
Yeah, we did that.
that's so nice of you.
We did that. Since I'm not in chat for like this whole match and the next one, I'm interested to see how much it devolves by the time I get back there. But I know you guys are behaving yourselves. And gals.
Yeah, Twitch chat always behaves themselves, right?
Don't forget to just keep talking about how great the person above you is. And
that's my favorite wholesome meme of the day.
yeah. All the people that are trying to avoid getting banned are like
Admin,
they're
Darers.
just waiting for me.
Okay, yeah.
Game
There.
paused.
They're
All
waiting
right.
for me to come back.
So we're about to resume the game as Jon Snow and Silky are ready to go at it. Jon Snow sitting down 80 supply. I mean, this might be a short resumption of the game, but here we go. Jon Snow's not going to give it up as long as he has an opportunity.
Yep. Infestation Pit's finally coming up for Silky, realizing that late game tech could help him close this one out. Although he certainly has enough units to do it. He just really needs to just keep doing with his thing.
I mean, let me also remind everyone that right now Jon Snow only has a Roach Warren. So that is the only unit he can make right now. He's also going to have to cancel his 4th base because he's getting pulled apart from multiple angles. Only has those 5 Lurkers and wants to be very careful with them. But Silky, he's going to move in over here. A lot of Corrosive Biles coming down. He knocks out multiple of those units there for Jon Snow, including a Lurker or 2. And yeah, these Vipers are not finding a lot of value. The hatchery is going to go down here. All right, Jon Snow. I know that you are the king of turtling in and bringing back in, as we saw versus Idriling last week. But Jared, I think this one we're going to be calling it soon.
Well, you know, they say that the universe always finds a way to balance itself out. And when one turtle is gone from the Earth, another one must take its place. So here we are, Fear Dragon, watching a man camp his only base with a ton of Lurkers and no real chance anymore. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna stop doing the caster hype thing, and I'm gonna say he literally has kind of passed the window where he should have tried to counterattack before he had to deal with the hive tip from his opponent. He just killed one of his own Ravagers. Doesn't even matter. He's like, whatever.
Yeah. This is Silky's team to lose.
The tech for Jon Snow's army is still awesome. He had a lot going for him. He didn't get Adaptive Talons, though, when he had the opportunity, so his Lurkers aren't as good as they could be. So he's trying to reposition himself on the map, and the reason why I won't shut up about Adaptive Talons is Corrosive Bile, which is huge. If he could burrow, get a shot off and unburrow, that's how you kind of play around the Ravagers. The reason why Ravagers are so good against Lurkers is because it takes them longer than like a Roach to actually do the action of burrowing before they can fight. That's how the unit is balanced.
Oh, wow, I didn't realize that Silky didn't even get a Hydra this whole time.
Yeah, so he's fine. So now Silky has a hive, and Jon Snow he's like clinging on to the leg like as hard as possible, like please no, don't kick me out of this game. And then as soon as Vipers show up, as soon as Vipers come out for Silky, he's just gonna yoink. He's gonna yoink those Lurkers and he's gonna kill them.
You know, I'm actually gonna take this in a different direction. Jon Snow is not a stupid kid. He's actually
no, I don't
smart.
think he's stupid.
No,
I think he's just
no, hold on, let me. So Jon Snow is a smart guy.
fantasy.
It's not even necessarily. He's going for the Boxer move. So for those who don't know, Boxer used to do this thing where he would sit around in games versus a lot longer, way after he had lost versus certain opponents, because he knew that a lot of these players didn't necessarily have like an amazing stamina. I actually think he's just trying to wear out Silky for the next game because He knows Silky
These guys
really
both
well.
play on NA versus the most turtly mech Terrans in the entire planet Earth.
Yeah, but they kill him before they get up to like the.
I heard
crazy
Thanos came to hang out on Earth just to practice versus turtleneck. Okay, like this was the place to go to do it.
I want to respond to that, but there's no way to do it without endgame spoilers.
He's going to just abduct the lurkers, and once the lurkers are done, he has enough stuff to just A-move this.
All right, Jon Snow blinding cladding a few times. He's almost out of energy, and it's not like he has many buildings to regain that energy with.
Anyway, yeah, it's not a 3,000 IQ boxer move. It's like fantasy. He has something. He's gonna try and make it happen now. Silky feels very odd to me. Silky's just kind of like dancing. He's like, yes, kill my bases. It's fine. I have another one. I guess that's okay. He's getting his own lurker den now, so that's nice.
Yeah.
Man, the Silky is. He's becoming part to blame of this now as well.
Because he hasn't just...
He has enough. He has so much stuff. Like the Hydras
the
Hydras and the Ravagers are one thing, but if he can trade, he's making money.
Yeah.
The income difference in this game is disgusting. He can just go back into building roaches and overwhelm and swarm his opponent. Look at this income graph. Like right now, it's 500 minerals a minute, roughly, coming in for Jon Snow.
I think
and
he's
it's
respecting
1,500 for Silky.
He's respecting the fact that Jon Snow is still in the game, and he says, "You're not an idiot. Why are you still in this game?" And he thinks there has to be some sort of reason for this. So Jon Snow, I think he's like baiting Silky and is like not actually just coming and killing him.
Do you think the catering's here yet?
Oh my God, we're not getting the food brought out to you, man. It's a little too extreme. All right.
Well, we're just waiting.
Lurkers are starting up here now.
These are two shy high school boys at the dance, and neither of them wants to ask the other to dance, and that's where we are right now. That's what this is. At some point, one of the older friends, perhaps a teacher, chaperone, will say, "Hey, go ask him to dance. Okay, it's going to be okay," and we will reach the conclusion of this game.
I'm actually amazed. You know, we don't really see a lot of Zerg players go for +3 weapons. Silky, still not going for +3 weapons. How do you feel about that, Nate?
Well, Silky did his best to not get tech in this game, and
he's getting adaptive talents, though. Look, Nate.
You know, I'm sure. You know what his actual strategy is, though? He wants to get like 14 lurkers to take 2 or 3 more bases so that he can take advantage of the lack of hive and aspire to finish the game with not a couple, in case Hydras punch through, but like 14 Broodlords. That's what he's looking forward to. That's how he's going to try and win this game. He's just going to go to like 14 Broodlords because clearly what he has right now could not possibly win him the game.
He doesn't actually... You know what I just realized about Silky's situation and why he's having such a hard time producing more lurkers and Hydras and everything? He actually is only mining from 2 gas geysers right now. He has mined out of every other one of his gas geysers.
I know what kind of place Kairos Junction is now as this fight starts.
What?
Based on this game, it's like a dive bar. It's a dive bar with really overcooked chicken wings. Like, not crispy in the good way, but crispy in the like, you should have taken these out of the fryer 5 minutes before you did. Yeah.
I thought you couldn't mess up chicken wings.
Well, I'm not saying that they're not still good or the sauce isn't good. I'm just saying that's the type of place it is.
Fair enough.
That's what this game has made me realize what Kairos Junction is.
Well,
because this game should have been taken out of the fryer 5 minutes ago, Fear Dragon.
I have to give props to Jon Snow that he has not dipped below 90 supply throughout the entirety of this, and he actually gets his opponent's Vipers. So Silky might actually feel still shy about trying to engage too quickly into this. Are there any lurkers here for Jon Snow? I don't actually see any lurkers with this army. Am I just not spotting them? He's only got 1 lurker left. And it's back at home. It's back at home. Now the roaches in the top right are going to take out one of Jon Snow's hatcheries, and Silky has now saturated his bottom left-hand base, going up to a total of 46 workers in a stunning economic lead.
You know what it is? Neither of these guys probably watch Game of Thrones, so they're like, if this broadcast goes on long enough, everybody will miss being able to see it when it goes on.
I mean, aren't we watching Game of Thrones right now? Jon Snow's in it.
Oh, God, if this is what the episode is like, I guess I'll just go get more sleep.
Okay, so...
I've run out of compliments.
I know. You ran out of compliments 10 minutes ago, Nate. Let's be real. So let's see. The unit count, I guess, is the only thing that we haven't really talked about. Is 24 roaches for Silky versus 15 for Jon Snow. Both got Vipers. They both got a few Lurkers up. And yeah, Jon Snow is down in pretty much every unit count except for Ravagers. Ravagers is the only thing keeping them in here.
Make a move.
On a ramp, I mean, the Ravagers are going to be annoying. There's the Blinding Clouds actually keeping them back. I mean, some Viper pulls is nice because finally he's getting some pickoffs here on Jon Snow's army, which still mining with 19 workers, and he's going to be able to kill this base with a lot of the drones here.
Do you think National Geographic has like a video of like turtles fighting each other, like real turtles? You know what I mean? Like you gotta wonder, right? Because that's a thing that happens for like finding mates and stuff for animals.
Absolutely.
I'm like, what is it like to watch
100%.
two giant turtles do they just like very slowly wrestle each other until one overexerts and dies? Like,
do you think it's like a positional battle when two turtles are fighting to like try and get behind the other one because they turn so slow?
They don't really have many weapons. They just have like the chompers, but is it just like one tries to chomp the other's neck in like one swift move? That's like it. It's really the only play they have. I don't know that a turtle has enough strength to knock the other one on its back.
All right, Silky has finally cornered this army and forces out the GG from Jon Snow. And now it is 2-1 in Silky's favor in this best of 5. Nate, can you break down that game for me? You seem to have a lot of thoughts about it still left.
That game took so long, I was able to research Hyperflight Rotors Fear Dragon.
But in all seriousness, while that game was over for a very, very long time, it was off the back of Silky being able to take some really good engagements there.
Yeah, I mean, this moment was so weird because he had a really good angle, he had a good surround, but then the Mutalisks came out and they aided just enough. He sent the Ravagers back. I don't know that this...
well, I do like
he didn't get the drones here. I feel like there was some opportunity to just try and trade this out.
He killed a good number of drones there, but it was this over here where Silky was able to get into that position and Jon Snow just out of position slightly.
The moment just before that, where he's trying to come up the ramp from that third base back up towards the natural, and he just can't because it's a terrible choke point.
Yeah.
Leaving 2 Lurkers there is nice, but you need to move your army up there the moment that starts to happen.
If
Or
you
go
were
for a base trade.
Yeah, he was
like
2 seconds late, and
it's TVT tactics. When you get sieged like that, you never run into it. You can't run into 8 or 9, whatever Ravagers. The Biles will kill you if you try to go up the ramp, and you're going to have to move command too much, and your army's just going to take free hits, and you'll die anyway. So, yeah, I feel like Jon Snow stayed in this game because he probably knows that he screwed up really bad. He was way far on tech. He was way ahead on tech.
You think he
had a much better army? Yeah, I think he stayed in that game because he's probably like, I can't believe I screwed this up. Because up until the final 2 minutes of that game, there was still really no tech from him.
Yeah,
it was just
a Roach Warren.
He had less than 100 supply, and his opponent was at like 180 supply of just Roach Ravager. And he's like, well, I've got Hydras, Vipers, Lurkers, and Ravagers. My army is better, quote unquote, not as big. So maybe there's still something that I can do here.
Yeah.
And honestly, probably mad because he realizes that he threw away a big opportunity.
Yeah. Well, guys, we're going to be going to a short break while we give these guys a bit of a breather. You guys are watching WCS Challenger. Don't go anywhere. Game number 4 will be right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're here in game number 4, soon to be, of the Zerg versus Zerg between Jon Snow and Silky. Now we are in a situation where Silky is up 2-1 versus Jon Snow, ready to take this series potentially if he wins this next game on Port Alexander. My name is Fear Dragon. I'm still here with Nathanius. This is the second quarterfinals match for WCS Challenger.
Is it though?
It is the second quarterfinals match.
Okay, good. Just checking. We're going, yeah, as you said. You already said the name of the map. God, what am I supposed to say to fill time now?
Well, you can compliment some more people.
Oh, I think you're fantastic, Fear Dragon.
Thank you so much.
I really like your hair today.
I was about to compliment you on your hair, but you know what? Your shirt really looks nice today.
Thanks. My hair always looks good, so
it does.
That's kind
especially
of my
that one day that you had the emo Spider-Man haircut.
Yeah, that was a really good day too.
That was one of my favorite haircuts I've seen for you.
Yeah, they told me I couldn't have the black eyeliner on stream though. Tragic.
Well, you aren't allowed to wear black shirts or black eyeliner on stream.
It doesn't go well with the lighting that we have here. It doesn't.
No. Okay, guys. Game number 4 is loaded on up. And as much as we were talking about how long that last game went and how Jon Snow really tried to stick it out, I imagine that both of these guys have also gotten a little bit more tired from that last game. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a bit more aggression coming out in this game. Silky's been opening up with a lot of those early pools.
Silky, please just do an all-in. There, I said it. I said what everybody had in their minds, Fear Dragon.
Who was the player that went for a large number of Lings and tried to go for Ling Bane aggression on Automaton? Was that Jon Snow or Silky?
It was neither of them. They both kind of just built Lings and Banes and did not much.
Well, no, it was Silky.
But Silky was the one who snuck cheeky Lings into the back of Jon Snow's main.
That's true, and he got some Baneling run-bys into the main base. Yes, but it was Jon Snow. I mean, it wasn't like a I'm all-inning you number of Lings, but he was the guy who made, 20-some Lings, couple of Banelings, and tried to put the pressure on an Automaton. So maybe Jon Snow will try for something like that again. We'll see. This is definitely one of the maps where you can still wall off your natural with the Evo Chambers and the Roach Warren. You can still actually go into those Roach Wars pretty easily. So we do see kind of a variation between players going for that versus saying, let's just go into Ling Baneling aggression again. How'd you feel about the Mutas, though?
I don't feel.
No, you don't feel?
About Mutas.
You've lost all sense of taste.
Mutalisks are like Banshees, Fear Dragon. They are a relic from a time in StarCraft when everything else was much slower. Mutalisks are not really that cool anymore. Much like Banshees, there's a million things that kill them, and neither of those units have received any interesting changes that make them fun to use these days. Like, Queens are better, Spores are better,
you need to play
Hydras are better, Corruptors are better.
Team games are where the
Vipers are better. Man. Really though?
Yeah.
Really? In team games, people don't use like Parasitic Bomb or Ghost Snipes.
Oh, they do, but then it's a fun moment when 40 Mutas pop.
So you agree with me?
The secret to enjoying StarCraft sometimes is to enjoy when your opponent wins. Also, enjoy when your units pop as well.
I will say that. Nope, don't agree. No, I don't feel good when my units pop. No, never.
No.
Nope. Nothing cool about Terran units dying.
I don't know. I think those are pretty cool. Like when the Zealot slices a Marine and then it slides off or something. It's like a really cool death animation.
Who builds Marines versus Protoss? What?
Oh, sorry. Battle cruisers?
Are you still stuck in 2013, Fear Dragon? Marines.
Would it be so bad?
Marines versus Protoss.
What do you build versus Protoss, Snape?
Things with wheels. Lots of wheels. Yeah. I got one of those robot vacuums.
What if I gave you Marines?
Around the map and locks on stuff.
What if I gave you Marines that hit Heelys? Do you remember Heelys?
Marines are just skating around the map?
Yeah, they just skate around. They go down ramps faster. Nice scout over here from Silky. Gets a Ling into the main and the natural, so he confirms there's no fast lair or anything, that there is going to be Zergling speed for both of these guys. At the same time, both these players did go for their Baneling nests. They're both going to be respecting the Ling Bane potential. Getting up those Evo Chambers at the front, though, so I imagine they probably still want to go into the Roach Wars eventually.
Yeah. If there's one thing we haven't seen, we haven't really seen a big commitment to the Ling Bane phase at all in any of the games. There was a little bit of it, but it was not Like, when I think about, like, big Ling Bane, I think back to the days people really committed.
Ooh, +1 melee. Maybe a little sign.
People used to really commit to the +1, or excuse me, to the Ling Bane, where you don't pull back when you see that your opponent has Banelings. Like, you try to force the trade, you try to make it happen, but these days people are so willing to transition out of it. Because it does feel a bit random. It's really hard to control, it's really hard to micro, it's really hard to do it.
All right, Jon Snow loses a Baneling there, trying to go for denial of the scout. Both these players going up to their lairs, and Roach Warrens are being added on, but I really want to see how many roaches is Jon Snow actually going to be making since he's going for +1 melee, which, unless you're going to go into like Mutiling Bane, that usually is an upgrade that doesn't scale super duper well if you're just going to be adding on a bunch of roaches behind this. Being behind in upgrades, we saw, does not usually go super well.
No. But lairs are coming in. The +1 melee to me says that he's going to go for Aspire and try to build a lot of...
And the Roach Warren's like a safety / fake out kind of thing.
Yeah, well, he's got... yeah, there you go. He's taking the final gas.
That's a fast fourth, right?
He's taken all of his gas, Jon Snow has. And that fourth, I don't know. Do you think I'm an expert on ZVZ Fear Dragon?
Absolutely.
The only thing I know how to do is tell you that I think you're great at your job, and there's a lot of really handsome and attractive people in the Twitch chat today, and they're all awesome. And they should forgive me for my, I've exhausted literally everything I could say about ZVZ in that last game, so.
All right, there's Aspire though. So at least this ZVZ is going to be a bit different from the previous games because we do get to see that super fun. I love this style. Like when the first time I saw this was when True, from also Psystorm actually, funny enough, Psystorm Gaming Zerg player, did bust this out at Valencia last year where he just went for a large number of the Lings, a large number of Mutas just dancing around. It's a difficult style to pull off because you have to be in position. You constantly have to pull your opponent out of position. Yeah. But it's really cool when you see it pulled off well.
Yeah, good scout on the Spire. But yeah, that's a funny example to bring up. True was like one of the most insane Zergling memers in StarCraft. I wouldn't be surprised if he had like a Zergling tattoo on his lower back or something.
It's definitely possible. This is a nice pickoff. The Roaches are very slow to react, so that base is going to go down, and +1 weapons has been revealed. If Silky didn't get a chance to click on those Lings before, he's going to know now. Spire is just now finishing up, and with the Drop Overlord being morphed in, that usually is a sign that you want to load up your Queens. No, actually, Baneling's being loaded up in. Is he going to go for harassment with that? I mean, he must know that it's going to be Mutiling now, that he's seen all those Lings with the +1 melee. So he has to be careful with that Drop Overlord.
This is, I think this is really bad for Silky. He did not try to really do anything, and he had a huge window to try and do something. But going into Hydras versus Mutas, since it's going to be mass Muta, Hydras are not necessarily going to be enough. This map is really good for flying around. It's really good for avoiding those units, and if you're trying to do that, you're going to have a really hard time ever attacking your opponent. So Lurker Den's going to get added. But the big thing that's pretty ace against this is to try and get Vipers and Parasitic Bomb the Mutalisks, because when you have... Parasitic Bomb is one of those weird things that it's like, in most situations, you would say that your units perform better when your opponent has less units, right? Like, that makes sense. But then the way that the Viper kind of defies that logic, and the Viper says, well, I hope that you get 1,000,000 minerals and gas of Mutas, because then you can't split them and they'll all die to a Parasitic Bomb.
Yeah, it definitely gets harder the more Mutas there are, but hey, all of the units there for Silky for the most part are up on the north side. The Spore Crawler is going to go down. The Muta's killing off a few number of these drones, but here come those Hydras in small numbers. Really, so they're going to get right-click down.
It's really weird to see a game where Zerg is just like allowed to build like 20 Mutalisks.
Oh, the Lings are actually keeping the Lings are keeping all the Roaches and Hydras busy. So Jon Snow takes a massive advantage. There's nothing here to defend these drones, and Silky is busy trying to pull away his drones at his third base, trying to deal with the Ling run by into the natural, so he doesn't notice the Mutas are just killing everything over there. There's a Bane drop that only killed 4 workers of Jon Snow, so the Bane Drain did not do the damage he needed to, and Jon Snow...
Those Lings are +2. The Lings are +2 melee attacks. So
they are killing it, literally.
Counter attack that comes in, like the Lings can actually kind of fight a little bit. It's a lot of Roaches, but at this point...
The Mutas just come home and they start killing off the Roaches, and as long as Jon Snow doesn't lose 40 workers here, he is going to be at an advantage.
There are almost 40 workers in this base, though, for the Roaches to kill, so...
Yeah. The Lings are actually buying a lot of time, though, because the Roaches are just
Bringing the
unattacked.
Lings back was big, yeah.
Yep.
The Lings die in 2 hits to these Roaches, but yeah, they are still very useful.
There's another attack over by the third base. I like that Silky's splitting up his Roaches, making it a lot more difficult. Now these Roaches are just going to buy time by going up to the top corner, trying to send the Mutas as far away from these Roaches as possible, but Silky is taking too much. GG. Tied up series 2-2. We're going to a game 5.
There's a reason why you usually see players get into that the specific engagement where you're attacking as the Mutas are starting to come out. If you scout the Spire, he did scout it, and he did not make a move. He was like, I'm just going to chill, and 1 Spore and a Queen should be able to stop, because how many Mutalisks are you really going to build? And he's like, no, I've got 15 Mutalisks. Yeah. Your Spore Crawler means nothing to me. Goodbye, main base, and then the Ling Flood into the third. And,
yeah, it was the split up that really did it, right? Because otherwise, the Hydras do get there a little bit faster, but it was because the Hydras and the Roaches were sitting at the third base, ready to move to either the natural or the fourth base. And if they needed to, they'd move to the main, but the Spore Crawler was supposed to buy time. But because the Lings swung into the fourth base at the same time the Mutas were here, couldn't see it on the minimap, but the Lings were all doing damage, so all of the Hydras went to the fourth base, and only a few actually went to the main. We only saw 2 show up, and the Queens plus the Hydras were not enough against that many Mutas. There's a really, really good split up of units there from Jon Snow.
Yep, now we get to go to game 5 of this Zerg versus Zerg.
Yeah.
Been a very compelling, exciting match so far, Fear Dragon.
Absolutely. Well, game 5 is going to be played on New Repugnancy now, and we've seen, I mean, everything except for, like you were saying, the big Ling or Baneling all-in, right? That's like the one thing we haven't seen from either one of these players.
Give me all in. Give me a cheese.
I guess we haven't actually seen... We saw, like, an Escape Nidus Worm. We haven't seen a real, like, New Age Nidus Worm from Zerg.
Nope. No, we have not.
You look like you've lost your soul. All right, guys. Now remember that the winner of this is going to go on to face off versus Masa in the semifinals. But after this match also, we do have 2 other quarterfinal matches that are looking really cool.
Yeah.
Estrella versus TLO.
Can't believe this is only the second match.
Yeah. Estrella versus TLO looks super fun. Estrella was telling me he's got some new stuff planned that he's planning to throw out there, so I'm excited to see what he's got.
Does he, though?
Oh, come on. Estrella is the guy who actually does come out with a lot of really funky stuff.
I look forward to watching Estrella play. What's the next match?
It's Estrella versus TLO. And then after that, it's going to actually be Puck versus Neeb, where I think a lot of people are expecting Neeb to probably win that, but Puck has had some really close games usually versus Neeb. Even when Neeb will like sometimes win 3-0 or like 3-2.
They had fun in what, the
WSG.
Round Robin for Winter as well.
Round Robin for Winter was a really good time. WSG USA Finals was actually pretty close between Puck and Neeb, I recall. Like, the games were really close, so
what are they
I'm excited
for to start the game.
Oh, they were just waiting for Jon Snow.
Oh, yes, it says ready. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, cool.
There it is.
There we go.
All right, guys. New Repugnancy. Game number 5.
Yes.
Another cool thing is, I'm actually really curious about how Jon Snow feels about this, because Jon Snow just started working. So he's graduated from school and everything. He has a full-time job as a software dev now.
Wow.
I actually really wonder what it's like, because if you just, for those who have not started like a software company or whatever, you have a limited number of vacation days, and now you qualify. If you win this, you qualify for WSS Spring. You have to take like a week off to fly to Europe.
Oh, yeah.
You don't actually start with a lot of vacation days. That's going to be a really fun problem for Johnson to figure out if he wins this.
I'm really glad that you're thinking about the big picture here for him, Fear Dragon.
Well, you know what, Nate? We already talked about everything else I have during those 30 minutes.
Well done, well done.
Yeah.
This is one of the longest best of 5s I think that we've had. It's been a while. A long match. We don't really do best of 5s here normally, I guess. So there's that as well.
It's just the playoffs really that you end up seeing those. And, you know, the grand finals will be a good old best of 7.
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm enjoying it. So we do have.
I've just been ZVZ got ruined for me. You know, it got ruined for me by Serral and Raynor actually.
Yeah, I mean that's an unreal level of ZVZ that just blows everyone's mind.
You know, that's just the way it is. I don't swipe right on ZVZs unless I see Serral or Raynor, Fear Dragon. I'm sorry. Those guys have like they make it look like a completely different matchup, and then I go and you know, I have full respect for the players, of course, but then like the way that normal ZVZ games are played is so far from that level, no matter how good whoever's playing is playing. I always find myself wanting more.
You know, I think...
Where's my Ling Lurker?
The Ling Lurker stuff was
Where
cool.
are my big drops?
I mean, I also really still enjoy... I mean, I'd hate to play it, but I really do enjoy watching, like, NA Ling Bane aggression. Because so oftentimes, NA players, Zerg players are just... They're all about just getting in your opponent's face as soon as possible, but we haven't seen a lot of that from either of these guys.
And neither of these guys are really strike me as the Ling players. It was cool to see Jon Snow break that out last map, but if we had, like, Scarlet playing, for example.
Like,
you know, we always
then
expect.
we'd see it.
Sasha's the fast +1 melee player, and she'll always go for that with some cheeky Banelings. And I do think that if TLO were in the ZVZ, we'd probably see a bit of that. Although I know that he is he's a little more mid-late game minded.
Yeah. Well, TLO's got all of its own fun stuff. Like, God, the teleporting was that from teleporting Banelings from WCS Winter?
Yeah, that was at the natural ramp on Cyberforest. That was
Yeah.
sick. Where you put the Banelings into the Nidus and then use the Nidus to jump into the Marines that were next to it.
Yeah, that was super awesome. We'll see what TLO busts out later on versus Estrella. And what I love Estrella's builds just because he always just comes to tournaments with something a little bit different. It's not even necessarily that he will have like 10 different builds that he comes to a tournament with. He'll have like a couple, but they're always very unique, and they're not usually just like, oh, I copied this from like X player or Y player. He comes up with a lot of those builds himself, which is one of my favorite things about him. But of course, that will be the next match. For now, we do see Baneliness coming down for both these guys. Zerging speed is still being researched, so they're not skipping any kind of straight tech up to lair. They're both getting up their third bases, and both of them just droning up. They don't actually seem like they want to go into the Ling Baneling aggression. Just 6 Lings coming out here for Silky, just to stay safe.
Very standard schmandard so far.
Yeah. A couple of Lings make their way into the main base here. Getting a scout out and seeing that nothing strange is happening. Evo Chamber comes down. There has been, I will say, in this series so far, there has been a lot of delayed upgrades for Jon Snow, or just alternate. He'll go for things like Carapace or melee first, or he'll even just get a slower +1 ranged. And that does oftentimes come back to bite him in the butt. He has been down in upgrades for a lot of these games, so we'll see if he's going to start up he's still not starting up in Evo Chamber. He's going for his lair once again faster, so he wants to go into, well, actually, he did add on a few more Lings. There was the Roach Point in the Evo Chamber. Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, but it has +1 weapons again. I mean, this is another game where he's going to be behind in those upgrades.
Silky built a reasonable number of Lings, but I guess he's still just kind of keeping a defensive mind about it, not going to try and push the issue on anything. They're both just going to get +1. They're both going to get Roach speed. Both going to maybe get some Ravagers, and neither of them are going to really want to fight until they have about 160 supply. That is my diagnosis after watching the last 4 games.
Well, seems like you're probably going to be pretty on point with a lot of
So we've got about 5 minutes before something big happens, Fear Dragon.
Okay. What food card is this map?
What food cart is this map?
New Repugnancy. Although repugnancy is not a great word for a food cart.
It's not a great word. So if it's something that I don't enjoy, I'm going to say it's like a kebab cart. I cannot imagine. There's nothing less appetizing than street kebabs.
You really don't like kebabs.
No. Well, we're here for, thank God it's WCS America now, right?
You don't have to worry about Take TV.
Europeans aren't allowed to open this stream because I'm on it, and the memes like violate whatever their new clause thing is. So I can say
Article
this
13.
with impunity. The best thing about American food carts is that you can get burgers and tacos and everything, and it's not just 40 kebab stands that are crazy greasy.
I mean, that right there is a deep fried meme, but hey, here's another good meme.
What?
Nidus Worm coming up from Jon Snow. He's adding on a lot of these roaches. He's sitting down 8 workers.
Something different is happening.
So this Nidus Worm is going to be finishing up just a little bit before +1 range, but I think around the time it pops up on the other side of the map, his own upgrades will have evened out, and Silky's investment in +2 won't have paid off in time. So Jon Snow might be able to make something happen with this. He's pushing across the map, ready to try and poke and prod a little bit. Oh, Silky is reading into something because two Spine Crawlers is pretty unusual.
Oh, okay, so he's going to get
these
one
links
in the northwest.
But he's going to try and pull all of these units out of position here for Silky. Look at this. All the units are leaving the main and the natural.
And here we go. The Nidus has erupted inside of the main base of. So we got the Roaches coming out, and he's going to go straight over towards where that lair is. A couple of the Roaches do come up the ramp, but not enough of them are here for Silky to be able to defend against this just yet. He's got to bring everything back over, including those Banelings. But that top left base, Jon Snow still has Roaches that are out of the map. So while he's able to put the pressure on in the main base, he's still able to attack the northwest hatchery, shutting that down, and also now posturing to attack the third base. Let's not forget, he's also on top of the evolution chamber here. He doesn't need to go down this ramp because what is inside the main is valuable enough on its own. If he succeeds here, that lair is a huge target to pick off for Jon Snow.
Roach Speed is finally finishing here for Silky, so he can finally move up the ramp. It's too late. GG. Jon Snow takes the series 3-2 and advances on to the semifinals. Big congratulations to him. It looks like that mantle will stay in his closet.
Jon Snow in this awkward swaying tree dance took the lead, Fear Dragon, and, well, this highlight literally shows exactly what happened.
There was one thing that happened in this game.
That was it.
But this was I mean, I want to just highlight some of the positional... that highlight reel was actually really short. I want to highlight some of these small little positional things he did there because it was using the Lings and also the Roaches at the front to go after the fourth base.
Yeah.
And Silky was reading into the fact that there was going to be this big Roach attack, but because it had the Spine Crawlers building at the natural, but Jon Snow hitting in at the exact time where he pulled all the units out and then the Roaches unload from the next room, just like really nice timing from that.
Yeah, well done. Well done. Let's move on.
Okay, well, congratulations to Jon Snow. He'll go on to face off versus Masa in the semifinals. But ladies and gentlemen, we've got two more quarterfinal matches happening before that. A good old Protoss versus Zerg in the form of Estrella versus TLO. We take a look at that schedule. You guys will see it's Estrella versus TLO. Following that up, the last quarterfinal match is a Protoss versus Protoss between Neeb and Puck.
Yes.
So ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you guys in a little bit. Not with Jon Snow versus Silky, but with TLO versus Estrella.